to be inviting on stage Mr. Siddhartha Laik, founder and editor-in-chief, IWMBuzz.com. Big round of applause once again for Mr. Siddhartha Laik, please. And to join him on stage, we have Saugata Mukherjee, head content, Sony Live. A big round of applause for Saugata sir as well.
Thank you, Subhojit, again, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. Finally, we are doing a session together, and always good to have you, chat with you. Sir, first at Sony Live, I know we have questions to discuss. Some of the most phenomenal shows, great storytelling, and I know it comes from your thought process, your idea of storytelling, but still very underrated in terms of some of the stories that you have told. So, when you commission projects, I'm sure so many people would want to meet you, discuss. How do you feel that, no, this will work for the platform?
First of all, Siddharth, thanks for inviting me. I'm glad that I finally made it to your
Thank you so
IWMBuzz
much.
Web Fest. I hope that you have a great day ahead. About the philosophy of commissioning or green lighting shows in Sony Live, we've got a very clear philosophy where we want to tell stories of India and which make a lot of relevance to a large cross-section of people. And one of the things that that I am very sort of keen on is that every story that comes to me seems very authentic, very real. So if you look at the kind of shows that we have done over the years, I mean, our journey has been only 5 years. We just completed 5th year of Sony Live.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So, from Scam to a Gullak to a Rocket Boys to a Freedom at Midnight to a Maharani, if you look at these stories are deeply embedded in the, very Indian in its spirit, right? They're hugely researched as well, but they're also telling the story from the emotions of an Indian storyteller, right? And I think that is the first thing that I look at. Is it real? Is it authentic? Does the world seem lived? So, yeah, that's pretty much the first tick box that I want to sort of tick.
And at Live, thanks for that. At Live, not necessarily you play the quantity game, because we have followed your journey. The shows are very, very precise and thought out. So you think it's a conscious decision, because end of the day you need to give content also?
So look, I think we've always believed in quality over quantity. I think we are in many ways, because we are a part of a broadcast network, we have a lot of television content which we run on our platform. But as far as the original scripted shows are concerned, we've been picky. And I think that has worked for us. We don't do too many shows. We probably drop about 12 to 14 shows every year. But every show is unique, right? We are in a business that some shows work, some shows don't, right? That's the nature of the beast. But if you look at the number of shows which have worked for us and have gone on to season returns, is pretty high, right? So I think one of the reasons that has happened is because we have not gone ahead and done zillions of shows, right? We've just sort of picked the kind of shows that we feel that fits into the philosophy, the brand philosophy of the platform, and we go after them, and we give our makers enough time. I think, a lot of the credit goes to the people who make the shows. I think all the credit should go to them. I mean, we've got great makers who have come and made shows for us, whether it is Applause, whether it is TVF, whether it is MA, whether it is Kangra Talkies, whether it's, all these makers, whether it is Hansal, whether it is Nikhil, whether it is Subhash, whether it is, Shreyansh from TVF, all of them have given their best. And if you look at the kind of shows that have brought on the platform, they're also very clear that this is a show that will land very well at Sony Live. I think that is somewhat, I think, a bit of a credit for us as well.
Absolutely credit for you. And, there are platforms who bet on stars first. Like, say I pick up a big star and you revolve a story around it. it's a pattern, a lot of conversations that we have. But talk about Scam or Gullak, Koshi sir is here. These are, like Pratik Gandhi is a huge star today. So are the Gullak stars, like Jamil sir and everyone. So this is also you betting on the conviction of the story and the makers rather than, fine, the story is here, but where is the star? So do you feel stars versus stories debate, how do you see it?
You land me in trouble, but anyway. Look, I think the first thing is the story, right? We are very clear that story comes first. The second most important thing is who's telling that story. Everything else follows post that, right? If you look at the kind of shows that we've known for and we've done and has done well for us, most of the shows have been headlined by great actors. And some of them have become big actors by just being on the show. Scam, Pratik Gandhi, Rocket Boys, Ishwak Singh and Jim Sarp. If you look at Gullak, the family itself is iconic.
Absolutely.
Right? So I feel that, we have always betted after the stories. We've betted very heavily after the makers. Have we betted after the stars? Rarely. I wouldn't say never. I think Huma does an absolutely stunning job in Maharani. I don't think there is any Maharani without Huma. But again, it was a call that Subhash Kapoor took. We believe that there are certain calls which are very important to be taken, and it needs to be a collaborative sort of effort there. And I think that kind of space is what we want to sort of allow for makers on Sony Live, where we want makers to tell their stories and tell it the best that they can. As far as stars versus, the second part of the questions, yeah. I think, stars are very important to be fair, right? I mean, we're in a business which is a visual medium. Yeah. We need, charismatic people to be on screen. There has to be some value there. But we only go after stars when we think it's very, very important. Because that star fits the role, right? It's not because we want a star. We need a star, and that star is the best person to play that role. We'll go and get that star.
Like Maharani. So when we talk about the genres that live, you have been there, you have seen the changes. You've not really seen too much of horror or too much of thriller. You are more human, emotional stories that you've always bet on, if I am not wrong. So how do you see next the genres that you feel live will tell?
Look, I think we've done a fair share of thrillers as well. I think we are running into the 4th season of Andekhi, which is a full thriller show. We've done a very successful show called Tabbar a couple of years back, which was stunning. We've done a couple of others as well. We just did a show called Kaan Khajura, which we have just recommissioned for season 2. Yes, but all our stories have been, the bigger ones have been impactful dramas, right?
True.
But if I were to choose one area that we have underserved, and I don't think it's just us, it's across the landscape, and not for the lack of trying. I don't think we have done comedies as well as we wanted to. I think there is a great space for a new sitcom to be developed. I don't think we have developed any sitcoms over many years. I think the last great sitcom that I saw as a viewer was probably Sara Bhai, which was 20 years back or 25 years back, yeah. Right? I don't call Gullak as a sitcom. It's a great drama, right? I think that is a space that we should probably look at a little bit more because I feel that, more and more as we're moving into the connected TV world, and I think it's such an important part of our business, I think comedies are such great inclusive viewing, right? Comedies are such great, family viewing, right?
Repeat viewing also.
Repeat viewing as well. So I think that is something which we are missing out on. We are trying very hard. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are writers and makers here feel free to come back and tell us your stories. The other one is, of course, a great thriller is always a great thriller. We would want to do a little bit more of those as well.
So we're looking at next Friends coming from Live soon. And when you talk about, connected TV, the way the distribution system is changing, consumption patterns are changing, we're talking about micro dramas. How do you see Live engaging with the youth of India? Because that also is a major chunk that I'm sure you want to cater to. Any thoughts on that, sir?
Look, I think we've been trying to make some shows for the young. It's not been easy because I think the young have probably moved into Instagram Reels and they're watching a lot of other content, and it's difficult to fight that, right? So if you're in the long form content making, it needs to be extremely unique for the youth to come and watch it. They're very unforgiving, right? So you can't get them wrong. We've been trying a little bit on those lines. There are a couple of shows which we have commissioned, which you should be able to watch this year. There's a great show called Free Love, which is actually a Tamil original, which I am particularly fond of, which we shall launch this end of this year. There are a couple of other shows that we have launched, commissioned in Hindi as well. But I think the stories of the youth. One of the things that we've been struggling with for the last few years is that I think we need a few more younger people to tell those stories. More often than not, youth stories are being told by 45-year-old males like me, right? And which is why there is a disconnect, right? They think differently, they express differently, they consume differently. So we need younger makers to sort of come and tell those stories.
But how do we do that? Because there's always a bridge, there's a business parameters. Like, it's not maybe easy to get your time, but you also how do you solve this problem?
I think one of the things that we have ensured is that I can't speak for the others, but I think as a platform, we have actually allowed a lot of young people to come and work for us, right? And a lot of our successes have come through those voices. And they're young directors who have got a chance and they've made a difference, right? So while it is difficult, I mean, everything is difficult, right? It's not easy to get a show greenlit. But I think there is a scope. We are looking for young people to come and sort of work in the writers' rooms. Most of our showrunners who are working on these shows have that mandate as well. Like, if you're doing a young adult show, I want young people in that show because I think it's very important that we get and nurture that voice. Maybe there is a lack of grammar in the telling, but there will be a sort of relatable world and lived experience that she or he who's going to come with and give it to the showrunner. I think it's very, very important for that kind of collaboration to happen more and more.
Very interesting. And last time when we met at your office, you mentioned about how you're passionate about the regional space also. So can you tell a little bit about that area?
Absolutely. I think some of the best filmmaking is happening outside of Bombay. Not that we are not making bad films or bad shows, but some of the really, really great filmmaking is happening outside of Bombay. I spend a lot of time down south. I've been working on a lot of shows in Malayalam, Telugu, and Tamil, even Bengali. We just launched a show called Maya Sabha about 10 days back, which is a Telugu original, and yes. I'm told it is doing phenomenally well in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. It's not an easy show. The show took us 3 years to make. It's a sort of a political thriller. I would say it's a political saga, not a thriller. But it's taken a while for us to get there. But I'm very, very excited because I feel a lot of the stories that these filmmakers, these storytellers are telling are extremely rooted in their local cultures. They are very, very close to their roots. They're very authentic. and they're very passionate, right? So, and which is why I go back and I feel deeply enthused by the new makers, right? I mean, the kind of makers that we are working with in Malayalam, in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, in Bengal. I think the good thing is that I think these are the talents which will get more and more accepted globally, if not nationally, right? I think that's I think a very, very important part of our business to grow in.
I know you said 1:15 is the hard stop, but I will take 5 more minutes of yours because it's a good conversation we're having. Most of your shows also, we have observed, the team was telling me that music plays an important role. Say the Scam, banger of a track that you did. So is it something that you consciously feel that the stories that you tell need to be backed by good music? Could be a background score or original music?
Absolutely. I think it's very, very important. We've all grown up to watching Hindi cinema with great music, right?
True.
It is a very unique thing that we have in our consumption of cinema globally, right? We are okay to have our actors run around trees and sing songs. That doesn't take away from the storytelling, right? And it's happened forever. And I think music is an intrinsic part of cinema that we've all grown up with, and I think it is a part of the consumption of the audience. So I think for us, it's very important that we use music in a certain kind of way which enhances the storytelling. It should not take away from the storytelling. It should not overpower the storytelling. It's almost like a tool that tells you a story without giving it dialogues, right? I think not more than, I mean, it's not easy to sort of have the kind of music that you have in cinema, because cinema is a different kind of experience. But we do pay a lot of attention to the kind of background score that we do. Like you rightly mentioned, I think we had a banger of a score in Scam. We had a banger of a score in Rocket Boys. We have some absolutely stunning music in Good Luck. We did a musical last year called Chamak, which had some absolutely stunning music. I think we had some 24 songs in it. Imtiaz did a show for us last year. We had some really, really good music in that. Some great songs and some great music in it. I think for us, it's a very important part of storytelling, and we think that we would go all out to get the best that we can.
2 or 3 more questions. One is on the season split. Like you said, Good Luck has multiple seasons, etc. So when someone comes to you with a concept, would you feel like this will be made into seasons at the right go, or you feel that no, let the show do well, then I can think of a season 2, but by that time maybe the season 2 coming would be too delayed because the prep is not in order, because there's cost attached to it. How do you see in terms of seasonal format?
Look, some of the shows inherently lend themselves well to season returns or multiple seasons. Some shows don't, right? But the nature of the business is that if a show does well, you would want more out of it, right? But we've also been very careful that, we've only taken shows where we felt that there is a story to tell. Sometimes if you force a story on a show that is actually culminated, it doesn't work, right? But yes, if a story has legs on it to run for multiple seasons, nothing like it, because that's a brand that you build over years. There's a loyal consumer base who come back to watch the same people every year. I think we've been rather consistent with it. We've got the 5th season of Good Luck coming out this year.
Yeah.
We've got the 4th season of Maharani coming out this year. We've got 4th season of Andekhi coming out this year. Look, we've managed to churn out season after seasons without taking too much time. But having said that, not at the cost of storytelling. Because at the end of the day, if you do a rushed job, then the chances of the show not doing well is very high.
Can lead to audience fatigue.
And
yeah.
yes, we've also taken very hard calls when we have not done a season 2 in spite of the first season being a very, very successful one. The case in point being Tabbar. It was a great show. It was the only Indian show to be on the top 10 or top 5 of the global shows that year. But we didn't do a season 2 because we didn't have a story for season 2.
So you think adaptations or original scripts? What would you bet on any day? Because a lot of stories are adaptations, right?
Look, I would go for originals. We've done several adaptations as well. We've done Fauda, which is Tanav.
Yeah.
We've done Kaan Khajura, which is Magpie. We've done Your Honor. So we've done a couple of adaptations. But, we have just too many stories to tell from India, right? Given a choice, my vote will always go for an original show. The pitfall is that writing an original show is much more difficult. Adaptation is possibly easier because you already have the framework. Yeah. But yeah, if I had to choose between the two, I'll choose an original show.
Okay. So last question before we end. Yeah, we got it. So if someone sitting in the room wants to kind of come and pitch to Live, you already have a slate, like you mentioned, 12, 14 releases. You already mentioned the shows that are already greenlit, maybe it's coming. What kind of stories you feel will interest you maybe to consider in the next plan of yours?
Look, I think, like we started, I think we tell stories about India. I think there are 2-3 buckets that I'm looking for. One bucket is the big India story, where you tell the story of the Rocket Boys or Freedom at Midnight or, scams of the world. The big idea stories about India. The other one we again discussed, I'm really looking for sitcoms, which very tough. We've been trying for a while, but we've not managed to crack much. The third is that, we would love to have some younger people telling young adult stories, which we have some in pipeline, but there is more the merrier, right? And lastly, we would definitely go back and say if you have really good true crime stories, because the streaming business is such that if you have a great binge-worthy true crime story to tell, more often than not, you'll be successful with that.
So, thank you so much, sir. I think I finished on time. I know you have a meeting to go to, but thank you so much. Lovely chat.
Thank you, Siddharth, for calling me. It was lovely to be here speaking to you. I know that, I skipped this last year, but finally we made it.
Many more together, sir, and you have been kindest, sir. Thank you.